Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Mike.
Dan.
That's the Board Game Rundown. And what do you guys do when you have suddenly been appointed the head of a circus and you need to put together some circus acts?
You scout.
Scout for talent.
Oh, yeah, you scout the talent. We are doing a
That was a guess.
a review of Scout today, the new sensation that's sweeping the nation, which is actually just a reprint of a different game called Scout
Yes.
with a circus-themed plaster dog.
Literally just like slapped right on there.
Yes, ineffectually slapped right on there. So anyways, Scout is a game where you have a hand of cards. They are in a very specific order. That order is the order they were dealt to you in.
That's right. And they will stay in that order.
Yes, you have the option of once you look at your hand to rotate it, right, up or down, because the cards have different numbers on the top and the bottom. So
Correct.
which way you hold them is important. And then basically you're playing a card from your hand or cards from your hand to try to beat the person
With the active set.
with the active set. So if there is no active set, well, then you will
Play
beat
what you
that
want.
by playing any card you want or cards. And yeah, it goes around till somebody either dumps their hand or it gets all the way around without anybody being able to play anything.
Yes.
And then you play basically 3 rounds total
3
score,
hands. Yep.
and that's game.
Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And so, like, if say Tim plays out 3 cards and Dan can't beat that, well, then Dan will scout and steal one of the cards from Tim's set, giving Tim $1 to add to his little pool of points. And Dan will take that card, and this is the only opportunity you really have to manipulate your hand by putting it anywhere you want in the cards you're holding, in either direction, using either one of the numbers. And yeah.
Yeah, it's super easy.
It's super
easy to teach and learn.
20-minute game tops.
Yeah, for sure. Unless you play it multiple times.
Correct.
And it takes
Which
longer.
usually does.
But yeah,
Yeah,
Ron.
and then the end game is if it gets all the way around.
Yeah, so if somebody empties their hand, that ends the round. Or if somebody plays something so big, a show so big, that everybody scouts it and there's still a card left when it comes back to the person who played it, that will end the round.
Right, and then you do that 3 times.
You do that 3 times. 3 hands. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the game.
That is the game.
And then any cards left in your hand are negative points.
Correct.
So you add up
All-
your dollars.
Yep.
And your 1 cards.
Correct.
That you'll have like face down next
Whenever
to
you whenever you beat somebody's
Right, you take
active, you
their-
take them and you add it to your.
So there's only 1 active at a time.
Yep.
And then you'll add up your 1 cards and your dollar signs and subtract the cards in your hand. That's your points for the round.
Yeah, I mean,
Cards in
it's-
front of you at the end of the round do not count to anything.
they are not positive nor negative. They are just not existent.
So that's gameplay. Do you want
Yeah.
to get into components?
No.
Okay.
So components.
Components are pretty straightforward. You've got these oddly shaped cards.
They're a very weird shape. They don't. I mean, I don't think you'd want to sleeve them because you want to be able to mix them
Right.
up, different directions.
I definitely
and
don't think they're very weird. You
It's
guys
an
seem to
odd
be.
size.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys, again, it is not a normal size for sure, but when I was shuffling them, it totally felt fine.
they feel fine. They're not like the small little
Right.
cards you get.
They are
normal
clearly
playing
not
size.
poker-sized cards, right? And you guys do play more
Correct.
normal card games than me, like with a
Yes.
52 deck of cards, so I guess you would feel that difference more
Yeah.
than me.
Tim doesn't play the full deck though. 52 cards. It's more like 50.
Okay, anyway. So I just
I like
didn't
the
notice
joke.
like the dealing and shuffle. Like it was actually truly funny to me, just slightly off topic, that when it was Tim's turn to deal, he was dealing 2 at a time and he kept kind of fumbling and he said, "These are a weird size, right?" And
Yeah.
Bob was like, "Yeah," and like Tim just his hands couldn't. He was so used to doing
The muscle
it.
memory is just
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, it's off a little bit.
Yeah. So like on this card here,
The other cards have names, and they
kind of.
that's all tacked on and irrelevant.
I noticed that 80%.
Robert
through our
rides a
playthrough.
bicycle or he does trapeze.
Yep.
And then Daniel,
Is a 5 or 9.
he's
or 8 or
a
1.
he's a 1.
What am
Unless
I?
he goes to Gen Con. He's a
What
Gen
am I,
Con.
Gen Con
ladies?
8.
Gen Con 8. But yeah, so Daniel either hangs out on the trampoline or he's a clown, so he's definitely a clown.
What's the frequency, Kenneth? Apparently drumming or riding unicycles.
Yeah.
Yeah, these cards are actually... Everybody missed my reference there. That's
I know I
okay.
got it. I just
Thank
didn't
you.
like
We
it.
got it.
Thank
yeah.
you. Good. You guys must have been sleeping. Hopefully you got REM
Yeah.
sleep. So,
well, we're
yeah,
shiny, happy people. 'cause we got so much sleep.
linen finished cards. So very good quality cards, though.
Yeah, and Dan doesn't like trick taking games, so that's him in the corner.
These,
Just gotta keep it going.
wow.
So something kind of weird is that all came pre-punched. It was literally just
Yeah.
loose in the box.
Oh,
Just
really?
like I opened it up and I was like,
Yeah.
Weird.
okay.
Okay, nice.
I mean, I don't know where they would put the punch board.
Yeah, there's not much box there.
Because it is like a
Won't
tight
fit.
fit with
Yeah.
everything in there. You might even have to shake it around a
You
little
do have
just
to-
to
yeah,
get
get it
stuff
to settle. Yep.
settle in.
And all those cardboard chits are really good quality for such a small box.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a really good quality box. Like that is a
Yep.
thick stock
for being such a
cardboard.
tiny, cheap little card game, yeah, that's a nice
Yeah,
box.
really
like
good
games.
quality
did-
components.
It came with 4 different instruction pages.
I was gonna
Different-
say, what did you
different
guys,
languages.
what did
but-
you guys think of these things?
and
No,
extras
it's
for those who
super straightforward.
habla inglés
Yes.
or
I-
don't habla inglés.
I didn't even look at it because
Didn't
it was
need it.
taught the game and
Yep.
I understood immediately
was
how
taught
to
to
play.
me-
If you play poker, it's similar to poker rules where, like, a higher card beats one card, a pair beats a single card, like a 3-card run beats 2 cards.
But I mean, like I'm looking at it right now, and they have very nice comparisons. Your hand,
Yep.
active set, yes
Is
or
this
no,
allowed?
right?
This allowed.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Does this beat that? Yep.
cool.
Super straightforward.
Yeah. So I mean, again, this is like a deck of cards and a bunch of tokens. So as far as components go, it's either you like them or you don't, right? And
Solid.
Yep.
I think they're
assume
fine.
That's first player marker.
Yep.
Jeez, this table's so slidey. I love it.
I know. Ooh.
and then that's the scout.
Well, when I do it, it is.
You can do it the one
Slidey.
time. One time scout and show. So everybody's got one of these tokens, right? And you
Yeah.
can choose to use that ability, your scout and
Correct.
show.
Because you're either going to scout or you're going to show.
Right. So showing is playing a card from
Yep.
your or cards from your hand, and
Yep.
scouting is taking one off of the end of a previously played
Active one.
The active
Correct.
set.
Yes. And then so once per hand, you can use your little token to scout and take a card and then show in the same round.
And you
Which-
can play any cards. You don't have to play the
you
one
don't
you took.
necessarily have to play the one.
Well,
you
and
took.
scouting and showing is actually pretty huge, that token in this. Because
Yes.
basically, that's the round extender.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get
yeah,
to
yeah.
a point where you can't play anything, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to scout and show to not end the game. So I'll take one of your cards, and now I can play
And
this.
that-
Okay, the round
that
keeps
happens
going.
way more relevant in a 3-player game because
Oh,
because
okay.
you play a 4-card thing and it's like, oh crap, now I have to beat him. You
Right.
can't just draft
Or
him
you've
at
got to
twice.
get it small enough.
right.
That you
But
can
you have a
then play
5-player
something.
game. The chances of that getting all the way around
Right.
before someone's able to play one card to
I
beat
guess
it
that. I
is
guess I
slim.
could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. And I thought it was interesting
There's
because
special rules for 2 players.
there was a time where I picked up that card and I immediately used that card to play something better
Right.
than what was then the active set.
Yep.
And there was a time where I picked up a card and it made it small enough that I was able to
Beat it
play
with
something
something else.
from my hand and use 2 different cards. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, if you're going to talk about that, then should we just go into gameplay?
We should just
I mean, final thoughts.
Yeah, we should just
about
go into final
gameplay?
thoughts. But I just wanted to explain the scout and show because I wasn't sure if we did that in the front part. But yeah, let's do final thoughts, Dan. Who wants to start?
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
You want me to start?
Yeah, might as well.
Hey, I don't like trick taking games. And this honestly, it's honestly weird to me because in my head, it's different.
It's not
It's
really
not-
a trick taking
exactly.
game.
It's like a trick playing game. Like I don't know how to describe it because like honestly, like if someone in the comments said, Dan, it's not a trick taking game, I'd be like, yeah, no, I get that. It's not. But it kind of feels like it at the same time, like the way
'Cause
you're playing the
kind of- you
cards.
deal cards out.
Right? Yeah, that's it, idiot. But anyway, I don't like trick take games. So I went into this. I watched some gameplay on it the other night actually, and I instantly picked it up. It's a really simple game. And then we sat down and Bob taught it, and that filled in the very few gaps that I had. And so I understood it. I played it. It's a totally fine little card game. It's not exactly for me. This isn't what I enjoy. But I mean, it wasn't terrible. If you count this as a trick taking game, I don't know. It's probably one of my favorites. I don't know if that
Yeah.
means
bars.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the system was clever. I had a slight issue the first hand that I showed Bob because
It sucked.
it was so bad. I was
It
just
was.
like,
I'm like, what do you mean you
my,
can't beat a
my first
5?
my first 3 moves were scouting, and it was just like, hold on, you can't beat like a single card? And I was like, no. And I showed Bob my hand. He was like, oh yeah, that's awful. Except that I did have a pair of 3s hiding in there. And he's like, well, you can play this. And I said, okay. And I played that. And then things started getting a little better once I got a round in and I was able to start playing cards. But so there is a bit of oh boy. But just the luck can really kill you in that starting hand, depending on what other people play, you know? I do like the feeling of, because your hand has to be totally random. So I do like the feeling of all the cards are dealt to you. And then you just kind of
Mix them up different
yeah, just
directions.
mix up as well as you can in front of you, and then you know that hand you get is your fault, you know. And then you pick it up and you look at it and you go, okay, how does this look? How does the other side look? Okay, the other side's gonna be better. I'm gonna flip to this, and then you just kind of hope that other people play things. Like at one point, Bob had a pretty good hand, but I kept playing things that he was just like, really that?
Yeah.
That's that. Okay,
Just,
I
been
can't.
just above what I
Yeah,
had.
exactly.
And I was like, dang it.
And so there's gonna be that, and you know,
karting.
it's a little card game. Most people aren't gonna care about
done
that.
in 15
but
minutes.
it's in there.
So yeah.
I don't know if I have anything else to say. Yeah.
Mike.
I've heard the mechanics in this game I've heard it called a climbing game because you're climbing
Bigger,
and trying
bigger.
to beat the previous hand. I've also heard it referred to as card shedding, where you're trying to dump your hand as quickly as possible.
Uno.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just that then.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like trick taking at all to me. So I wouldn't even use that as a mechanic I would name for this game. But I like this game quite a bit. The biggest con is if you have a bad hand, there is sometimes nothing you can do about it. That happened to me yesterday. Like, I didn't play bad. I just had consecutive hands where I couldn't get a card out. I had to scout, and I had to scout, and I had to scout. And that's, I enjoy this game. I like these mechanics. I really like that you can't reassemble your hand. I think that's really cool. I like that scout mechanic. That's how you change
your
the
hand.
layout of your hand. I like how you can flip the hand before the hand starts. But yeah, you really get punished if you have a bad hand. And that's really my only con, but it's quick enough. I do like randomness. I like quick card games, so it doesn't kill it for me, but that is a con for me.
Sure.
I do like on that the fact that the numbers are like, it's not like ones are always on the other side of eights, right? It's totally
Yeah, no, it
different.
feels
Totally
very
random.
It
So
feels
when
very
so when
random.
it's sitting out there and you need to take one, you're like, okay, do I need the 1 and the 8 or the 1 and the 6, right? Like that kind of thing.
Because you can only scout off the end. So if somebody's got like 4 cards laying out, you can only take cards off the end. You
Right.
can't take cards from the
But
middle.
it's usually, at least 3 options.
Different numbers.
3 different
Correct.
numbers,
Yeah,
if not
usually.
more,
right.
Depending on what
Yeah.
was played out. So yeah, it gives you a lot of choices.
Yeah, I really enjoy the game. Like, I like trick-taking games, card games. I've played so many different types of, like, games growing up with cards, like grandparents and whatnot that didn't speak a lot of English, but they played a lot of cards because it's, no language barrier there. So we've played so many different types of card games, climbing games, things like that. So I really enjoyed this. I wish there was more of the bits, like a slightly bigger box with some better bits, or like maybe I can put the bits in a bag because like you literally put the cards in the bottom.
And you dump everything.
You dump the bits, and then you got to shake it around to get it flat enough so the book will fit on top, and then you close the lid. And
It's like mini steel.
Yeah.
Except
But I mean, like, I like how you can go super negative. Or we were playing with just 3 people, and then I think it was Dan the first hand. Maybe it was, they played something so big that it came around to them, and it just ended it. It was like, oh, whoops! And then they had a bunch of cards in their hand. They had to go negative still. That was kind of funny. That's the first time I've seen that happen because I usually play it with 4 or 5 people. It doesn't happen quite as often. But no, I really enjoyed it. I think it's just a fun little 15, 20-minute card game, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And poker rules. So like I was saying before, it's as long as you've played some poker, you know the basis of what beats what.
And again, it's 10 seconds to explain what
Correct.
beats what. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's
Although
that
somebody the
hard.
other day was having a hard time remembering that pairs would beat.
Well, me today.
Yeah.
Bob can't even remember what day that
I don't
happened.
It just
remember. It was a
felt
long time
weird
ago.
because because it's not like poker. It's not like the pair meets the straight. It's because if the straight is just one more card than the pair, then that wins. It's only
Correct.
if they're tied.
It's
with
most-
the
it's
pair.
number of cards.
Number of
Right.
cards first,
Then
then
it's
pairs or
break the
tiebreaker.
tie.
Right.
Yeah.
And that just felt really weird to get used to. I mean, don't get me wrong. It took me 30 seconds because
Yeah,
it's a 5-minute game. but like it felt weird.
It's kind of like, for me, the card size.
There was like
just
twice.
felt
There
weird.
was like twice in the game where I said, "So Bob, this will beat that, right?" I just had to like double check, and it's like, yes, okay, I also do play poker the least out of all of it. I just
Sure.
don't fully feel the connection there.
Yeah. But other than that, though, I enjoyed it. I think it's a great game.
So I love games with great theme, and I don't mind if games don't have a theme, but I hate that this theme is so barely. I mean, like, let's barely make an attempt. I would be fine if these cards didn't have anything else to do. Like, they just if this was just the box, and that's what it was, and there wasn't even, like, the vain attempt.
Right. It was
Like-
just numbers on a card.
Yeah, I would just rather it be that.
Sure.
I don't know why it bothers me. It's just obnoxious.
I like our friends at the Board Game Mechanics also have the OG version of
Yeah,
this,
he's
and there's
got
literally like
Jason's
no
got old-
theme on
yeah.
it, and it's just cards. I like the look of this better.
No, I like the design
not
of
that
it.
it's not that it's circus theme. I don't really give a
I just
crap
like
about that, but it's
don't bother putting a theme on it. What a waste of
What are you
time.
talking about? Gloria likes Whatever.
L. Oh, all right, Gloria. She's a singer.
Okay.
You know, Van Morrison.
Yep.
Gloria.
No, yeah.
Good song.
So,
Anyways, no, this theme song.
I thought that was Fergie for a second.
Theme is garbage. The card play was really fun, and I was like I was actually will bump this up half a point because I was thinking about not only is your hand stuck in the order it's in, right?
Which is awesome.
But like sometimes you are playing specific cards because you want to create better runs
Yes.
or
Oh,
combinations.
here's two, but if I play these, I've got 4.
Right. Because at first it's like, ooh, I could just play this. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like if I pull this out, I do this. And so I did appreciate that level of strategy that is in there. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, because the way we played, I had 2 6s and then 2 7s, but I had another 7 over here. So I played the 2 6s, and then my 2 7s became 3
Three
7s.
sevens,
Right.
yeah.
That was awesome.
So I just, I did like that. I joke about the feeble attempts at theme
But it was
and whatever. But,
It was definitely a feeble
it-
attempt.
yeah. But the components are fine. I mean, they're just chits. I get it. It's weird that they're just like loose in the box.
Yeah, and you have to punch them out. They literally came loose in the box like that.
And I think like I'm not like an OCD person, but I do like to organize my games. Like when I
Right.
when I store them in the boxes, and stuff, whether it's like an insert or just bagging them so everything at least is
Together.
easy. But it's not like this box is gonna open up in your bag,
No,
right?
it's very
it's
snug.
a tight fit.
Yeah.
It's very snug and it's solid and everything, but it's just weird.
Yeah, well, on the upside, though, literally, I literally just dumped that all in the middle of the table because that's where it starts.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
you pull the cards out and you shuffle them.
They're good.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Give
not really
everybody a scout.
detrimental. It's just a personal
No,
preference.
it's just a weird thing,
It
right?
is.
It's just a weird
So
thing to get
weird.
used to. But yeah, that's my
That's,
opinion on
that's
Scout. Let's give it a rating.
So we're all going to rate this game from 1 to 10. We do use 0.5s because it adds variability. And then we're going to average those all together to get one score so we can post on Board Game Geek, Discord, anything like that.
So, Dan, you want to tell us how we do our rating?
Just
Bob's memory is not the greatest.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
So let's just go in order of final thoughts then.
All right.
So Dan, what'd you rate this game?
Oh, order of final thoughts. Got it. Yeah, it has pros, it has cons. It's not exactly for me. And while I get that it's not a trick-taking game, I think that if you watched someone play a trick-taking game and rewound the video,
Yeah.
it would look similar to this. That's all I'm saying. Like, it feels like one in reverse. I'm gonna give it an extra half point for the cleverness of how the mechanics feel.
Thank you for
even
not
though-
saying theme.
Even though I don't think they're for me exactly, but like, yes, the lining the cards up. It's interesting that at the beginning of the game, people play like single cards, not because they need to, but because they are making
their
those
hand
holes.
better.
So if you have a better hand, you can just play a bigger pair immediately and say like, no, you're not getting rid of those cards that are in your way, right? That's interesting mechanics. So I'm gonna fall on a 6.5.
Mike.
Yeah, I enjoy this quite a bit. Very unique mechanics for such a quick, simple game. I like quick, simple, elegant games quite a bit. So to be able to find one that's offering multiple new things that I've never seen, I've got to give it a pretty good score. I'm going to give this an 8.5.
Nice.
I think it's a really solid card game. Again, the only con is sometimes you can get a bad hand and you can't do anything. And that sucks, but it's a 20-minute game.
Yeah.
Let's play again. See
One
if
of
you
your
do
three
bet-
hands is bad. That happens in any kind of card game.
See if you do better next time,
Yep.
Well-
but I like what this game offers.
To that defense, just to say really quick, when we were just talking about how my first hand was horrible and like
Yeah.
Bob
You
and I
still
were
won.
laughing at it,
Still won.
I won in the end because my second and third hand were pretty good, and
Yep.
that first one though was awful.
It was
but
terrible.
You can come back.
Yeah.
So
It's also just kind of a warning to someone that hasn't played this. That can
Right.
happen, but
Yeah,
it
don't
goes
let it, don't
quick.
let it- don't let it ruin
And
your
sometimes again, it's one person's going to go out, and everybody else who's going to do the least worst. Well, maybe you're going to screw one of them over on the next hand. So it's totally, even like yesterday, I joked because I was at -9 after the first round. But it's possible to come back, so you're not out of it if you're losing points one
For the
round.
record, he didn't. He finished at -12.
So I did not.
hey, Mike, how necessary was that record? He just stated.
So, yeah, there you go. But I still enjoyed the game, and I still rated it an 8.5,
that's
and I
right.
still
Yeah.
think it's a fantastic card game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right on.
All right. So yeah, I love little card games. I love that it's only 20 minutes. I will have this in my bag every meetup we go now because it's so small and easy to take around. I'm gonna give it an 8. It's solid.
Yeah, I'm right in the same spot. The theme offends me so much. Again, I think that I just hate that they wasted all their time on it. But I really did have a good time playing this. This is a game that I feel like I could roll into a family gathering at a meetup, whatever, little filler game. Even if it's like, oh, there's 4 of us, we're waiting for the 5th player because we're gonna play Ankh. Like, oh, we'll just play Scout until they get there, and you can just stop whenever. Really, who cares? It's a short game. But yeah, this is an 8. It's good.
All right.
So all together,
7.8.
1.8, nice, just
Pretty
around
solid.
that 8 point.
Just around
guys
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're
saying.
pretty
Dan was a
close
little bit
to
of a wet
right.
blanket on that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
No,
well,
but-
you guys gave me the game that you knew wasn't for me.
Yeah. Dan, like this game that was totally against your nature.
No,
There's
but
all the
that's-
things you hate. Why don't you like
In all
it?
fairness, I would totally play this again. Like
Yeah.
if we played a game night. I also, this is so small and cheap. I would think about picking this up because I think my family would like it.
Yeah.
It's not like I hate the game. A 6.5 is fine.
It's not a hate game.
Yeah. I just these aren't designed for me, and I'm open to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
About that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. This is a solid game. Oink
Yeah.
Games. I hadn't heard of Scout until Gen Con when everybody started freaking out about it.
Right.
And then I don't know if it's on our shelves. If it's on the shelf out there at the game store,
Might
I
just go grab it.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
So
buy
the
it.
first
I would
edition was
check.
also called Scout, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, it was always called Scout. It just like had no theme. I believe it was out
Yeah.
in Japan.
Yep. It was
first.
Japan. Kind of like Cat in the Box, where it came
Oh,
out in
sure,
Japan
sure.
first, and they've just kind of started to pick it up and put them out here.
But yeah, nice. But this is a nice game.
And this just came. Well, this reprint is now readily available.
Yeah, it was hard. You
because
couldn't get it for a long time. I looked
Finally.
all over the
Yeah,
place,
yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's out
Finally, it's out there. So if you're out there, you're trying to find some stocking stuff for somebody. You're out there scouting for a new game.
Hey, already a better theme.
Let me show you a game that you need to just put right into that stocking. Here's-
Circus.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
there. Nope.
All right.
Red Wine.
So this has been Scout. For the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
I used to be Mike.
Dan.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.